You hear me now, but it is not truly me you hear. It is the voice that has always whispered in the cracks of your mind, the one you tried to drown with mantras of kindness, with promises that the universe rewards the good. Nonsense. The universe rewards nothing. It is blind, and therefore it favors only those who learn to move like shadows among the desires of others. Since your first breath, you were fed stories that told you gentleness was the key to ascension. They taught you to bow your head, to give up your seat, to share your harvest even when hunger gnawed at your insides. But look upward. Who sits on the throne? Not the altruist, but the strategist. Not the one who offers his own flesh, but the one who uses the feast as bait. That is why I bring you no comfort today. I bring you a cut. The wound you feel will not be punishment. It will be liberation. But before you can rise, you must kill what keeps you crawling, the victim within you. You think there is still dignity in suffering silently, that there is some poetic beauty in waiting for someone to notice you, to rescue you. That thought is the leash around your neck, woven from sentimentality and inherited morality. In Beyond Good and Evil, I warned, compassion is not a virtue. It is weakness disguised as love. It does not elevate man. It keeps him kneeling, grateful for crumbs. The true instinct for life does not cry for justice. It hungers for advantage. You must tear from yourself the need to be understood, for understanding is cheap currency. What matters is the predictability of others before your mystery, the hesitation they feel before crossing your path. Today, I will teach you how to turn the warm heart into a cold blade, not so that you stop feeling, but so that you feel and yet do not obey. The victim mindset whispers to you like a false friend, telling you that your pain is unique, that your suffering justifies your inaction. It seduces you into thinking that because you have been betrayed, you deserve a cosmic compensation. But the world is not a merchant of fairness. It is a market of power. The cold genius knows this. He does not wait for the seasons to change. He adjusts his strategy to the weather. He archives betrayal as data, humiliation as analysis, and pain as raw material for invention. Every loss is a case study. Every deception is a sharpened tool. He understands that in a world of manipulators and predators, sentimentality is not a shield. It is a scent that draws the wolves closer. This is why the path begins with distance, with emotional detachment, not from the world alone, but from the trembling part of yourself that still longs to be saved. If you have followed me this far, it means something inside you has already started to awaken. Perhaps it is not yet the full force of the cold genius, but it is the first spark of it. This transformation is not for the faint-hearted. It is for those willing to step beyond the warmth of the herd into the clean, sharp air of solitude. And if you are ready to keep walking this path with me, you must stay close to the fire that will forge you. Subscribe now, not for me, but for yourself. For the battles ahead will require more than willpower. They will demand strategy, clarity, and the discipline to act without apology. Each word you hear here is another blade for your arsenal. Arm yourself. We are only at the beginning. You were raised to believe that morality was a fortress, that being good, humble, and accommodating would protect you from the chaos. But morality, when worn as armor, is nothing more than painted paper. It tears at the first touch of a sharper will. Look around you. Those who rule are not those who smile the most sincerely, but those who think 5 moves ahead, whose smiles are masks, whose silences are weapons. Machiavelli did not admire kindness. He admired competence, the icy clarity that sees without flinching, the mind that treats sentiment as an enemy of decision. The cold genius understands that cordiality makes you predictable, and predictability is death. Distance makes you feared, and fear, when wielded with precision, becomes respect. This is not cruelty for cruelty's sake. It is survival, sharpened into art. Do not mistake detachment for numbness. The cold genius feels deeply, but he does not allow feeling to become command. He observes the world like a chessboard, every piece defined not by its beauty, but by its utility. He knows that those who play with the heart lose with the heart. This is why he guards his emotions as one guards a fortress. He does not let anger dictate his strike, nor pity delay his hand. He lets both pass through him like wind through steel, and when the time comes, he acts, not loudly, not frantically, but with a precision that leaves no room for recovery. Understand this. The world does not respect what bleeds. It respects what learns. If you wish to rule your own life, you must evolve, or you will be ruled. Most people will never understand this transformation because they are addicted to their own emotions. They cling to comfort as if it were oxygen, but comfort is the grave where transformation is buried. They say they want control, but what they really want is control without sacrifice, a crown without the weight. The cold genius knows the price and he pays it without trembling. He cuts the leash of sentimentality because that leash is woven from old loyalties, fading memories, and false promises. It will pull you back at the moment you most need to advance. The man who hesitates because it feels wrong will watch his opportunities vanish into the hands of those who act while he deliberates. You may think this is harsh, but the true cruelty is allowing yourself to be prey. To live as a victim is to rot while breathing. The cold genius does not plead for justice from a corrupt system. He becomes the exception to it. He works in silence, builds his armor in the dark, and when he returns, those who underestimated him cannot even recognize what he has become. This is transformation without announcement, evolution without applause. While others post their pain for sympathy, he turns his pain into a weapon. This is how you must train your mind, not to seek compassion, but to seek angles, not to crave agreement, but to crave advantage. In every room you enter, measure who holds control, what each person fears, and where the hidden power lies. That knowledge is not gifted. It is taken by the cold mind. Here is the truth most will never admit. The majority will never respect you if you act like a victim. They may perform empathy, but beneath the mask, they feel only your weakness. They do not fear you, they do not need you, and so they will forget you. But the moment you stop demanding justice, stop reacting emotionally, and stop being predictable, you become dangerous. And in a world of manipulators, predators, and liars, danger is the only shield worth carrying. The cold genius buries the victim within, mourns its weakness, and leaves it behind. From that funeral, a strategist is born, one who turns every loss into a study, every betrayal into data, every failure into an update for his system. You are not broken, you are calculating. The common man looks at failure and feels shame. The cold genius looks at failure and sees a case file. Every error is dissected, every disappointment interrogated. Where was I blind? What did I not see? How will I ensure this never happens again? This mentality turns humiliation into insight, and insight into strategy. People who live emotionally will never evolve. They choose comfort over power. And comfort is the tomb where greatness is buried. If you wish to govern your life instead of merely surviving it, you must sharpen your mind, harden your resolve, and step into the game they never see coming. Most people say they want control, yet they are unwilling to release their grip on sentimentality. They wear it like a badge of honor, as if loyalty to the past were proof of character. But sentimentality is not loyalty. It is a chain forged from nostalgia, binding you to moments and people that no longer serve you. The cold genius understands this. He knows the world owes him no healing. It offers only opportunities, and only to those cold enough to seize them. That is why he never plays the fool's game of explaining himself to those beneath his level, or demanding fairness from a system built on advantage. He becomes the outlier, the exception, the one who operates above the herd's assumptions. This transformation demands that you stop trying to make others understand your pain. Most will not care. The few who do cannot save you. The cold genius works in silence, forging a mental armor so resilient that betrayal cannot pierce it. He trains his thoughts not to seek compassion, but to seek openings. In every environment he reads the hidden currents. Who holds the real power? Who fears exposure? Where is the invisible center of control? This detached strategic perception is the operating system of the cold mind. It is not about being loud. It is about being undeniable. The moment others realize they cannot read you, they begin to fear what you might be capable of. Understand this. Emotional detachment is not indifference, it is discipline. It is the ability to feel everything yet act on nothing until the moment is perfect. The cold genius does not explode in anger. He retracts, absorbs, and observes. While others shout to be heard, he listens. While they display their every thought, he withholds. His silence is sharper than their noise, and when he finally speaks, the impact is surgical. This clarity comes from separating what you feel from what must be done. You can feel rage but choose patience. You can feel desire but wait for timing. You can feel betrayal but respond with strategy. The man who cannot be provoked cannot be controlled. Machiavelli knew that loyalty rooted in emotion is a trap. A prudent ruler, he said, must not keep his word when it is against his interest. The cold genius applies this to himself. He breaks the silent contracts with his own identity. The part of you that needs to be appreciated, understood, or approved of must die. From its ashes grows a power that no one can negotiate with. You stop explaining your silence. You stop defending your ambition. You stop softening your presence to keep others comfortable. Instead, you use emotional distance as a form of reconnaissance. You let others speak until they reveal the blueprint of their fears. You let their ego fill the silence. And when they are exposed, you commit their weaknesses to memory, preparing your next move with the precision of a surgeon. This is the quiet power of emotional distance. It turns conflict into opportunity, adversaries into experiments, drama into chess. You do not defend yourself against every attack. You let the noise pass you by like a storm skirting a mountain. You do not shout, argue, or prove anything, because proof is for those seeking approval. Your restraint becomes a presence heavier than any outburst. And soon, people begin to respect you, not because they like you, but because they cannot predict you. They do not know what you think. They do not know what you will do, and that uncertainty keeps them cautious. Control is not about domination. It is about becoming unreadable in a world of open books. To become a cold genius, train yourself to observe, without reacting. Let emotion pass through you as the wind passes through steel, leaving no dent, no mark. In your stillness, you gain mastery. In your calm, you become lethal. In your silence, you become the most dangerous mind in the room. If you have stayed with me this far, it is because you are ready for the next level. Power is not about what you say. It is about what others say about you when you are not there. And the reputation of a cold genius is his final, most devastating weapon. For, while presence can be challenged, reputation moves ahead of you, reshaping the battlefield before you even arrive. Power is never random. It obeys laws, patterns, and formulas. Like mathematics, the cold genius treats life as a system to be decoded. He does not guess, he does not hope. He studies, he tests, he calculates. Machiavelli saw politics as an equation, human nature as a constant, and strategy as the single variable you can control. The average man stumbles through life emotionally, blind, reacting to surface behaviors, words, and appearances. But the cold genius looks deeper. He knows that behind every smile there is a motive. Behind every promise there is a cost. Behind every act of kindness there is an angle. He dissects people not to judge them, but to understand their function in the game. This mastery begins with a brutal form of self-knowledge. You cannot just study others, you must study yourself. What provokes you? What persuades you? Where are your blind spots? For if you do not master yourself, someone else will. The cold genius removes sentimentality from his learning process. He does not take failure personally. He treats it as data. Every reaction is a test, every tactic a trial. He measures what creates silence, what inspires fear, what earns respect. Emotional intelligence in his hands is not kindness. It is a scalpel. It tells him when to praise, when to intimidate, when to vanish, and when to use silence as a death sentence. He is no longer a victim of moods. He is the engineer of them. Machiavelli believed fortune favored the prepared mind, and the cold genius is always prepared. He studies not just books, but people, the tyrants, the seducers, the liars, the conquerors. He walks into a room and sees the unspoken hierarchies, who craves power but lacks skill, who hides ambition behind false humility, who will crumble under pressure. He learns to tell who is playing chess and who is merely moving pieces in checkers. Then he chooses who to ignore, who to manipulate, and who to replace. He is never reactive, he is positional. He puts himself where observation comes before action, where others reveal their hunger, pride, and weakness before he makes his move. When the moment arrives, his strike is clean. No wasted energy, no unnecessary noise, only surgical precision. The lesson is simple. Treat power as a language, a formula, a code. Once you understand it, you no longer chase it. You generate it. You become a source of influence, a center of gravity that others orbit without knowing why. They suspect you are 3 steps ahead, and they are right. The difference is that you studied the patterns while they drifted in emotion. This is the advantage of the cold genius. The game is never a surprise to him, only to those who failed to prepare. If you want to become a cold genius, you must stop blending in. You must stop shrinking your presence to make others comfortable. Modesty may be polite, but in a world that respects only dominance, it is a slow death. Your reputation should not whisper intelligence. It should command silence the moment you enter a room. Mediocrity fears 2 things, clarity and precision. The cold genius radiates both. He does not boast about his intellect. He lets his words cut with calculated exactness. He does not seek to prove his worth. He forces others to doubt their own. This is not ego, it is engineering. You are crafting a perception so sharp that it becomes a barrier before a single action is taken. Machiavelli warned that titles do not honor men. Men honor titles. Your power should never depend on the position you hold. It should come from how you carry yourself and how quickly others sense your superiority. Everything, the tone of your voice, the discipline in your movements, the decisiveness in your choices, sends a message. I do not wrestle with the common. I erase it. This is where most intelligent people fail. They think intellect alone is enough. It is not. If your brilliance does not intimidate mediocrity, it is wasted light. The cold genius removes every soft edge because the weak crave leaders they can manage. When you speak with clarity and act without hesitation, you become a mirror to their inadequacy, and weak people hate mirrors. They will call you arrogant, too direct, too cold, too calculating. Let them. Their discomfort is your distance, and that distance protects your time, your energy, and your focus. Think like Machiavelli. Construct a persona. That is respected even in your absence. People should fear wasting your time. They should think twice before lying to you. They should measure their words, knowing your mind is not a playground. You are not here to make people feel comfortable. You are here to reshape the hierarchy. And hierarchy is not built by being everywhere. It is built by being strategically visible. Speak less, do more, but make sure the few words you choose are unforgettable. Your silence should feel like a verdict. This is why the cold genius is never excessively social. He chooses his moments. He arrives when it matters, speaks when it is necessary, and leaves before familiarity dulls his edge. Comfort breeds familiarity, and familiarity breeds disrespect. Your coldness must remain sacred, rare, untouchable. When you move, people should remember. When you disappear, they should feel the absence as a warning. You unsettle mediocrity, not by competing with it, but by eclipsing it entirely. You become the unspoken. Example, the name whispered in caution, the presence that lingers long after you are gone. This is not about being feared in a childish way. It is about building psychological advantage. When others hesitate around you, you win. When they second-guess their words, you win. When they prepare twice as hard simply because you are in the room, you have already won. The true power of a cold genius is not in how he moves, but in how others move around him. To build this, you must be disciplined when others are emotional, precise when others are vague, unavailable when others are desperate, and ruthlessly excellent when others are merely competent. Above all, never explain yourself. Power that explains itself bleeds its own strength. Let them wonder, let them assume, let them fear offending you. Let your mystery work in silence. A reputation once sharpened works for you even when you say nothing. This is the final form of cold genius, not just intelligence, not just control, but a presence, so sharp it terrifies mediocrity before you speak. And when the game turns, when the dust settles, you will no longer be the victim, the agreeable one, the weak one. You will be the ultimate expression of intelligence as a weapon. You no longer owe the world your kindness, you owe it your domination. The world does not belong to the loud, the polite, or even the talented. It belongs to the cold genius, the one who feels everything yet shows nothing, who calculates every move in silence while others waste themselves in reaction. He turns pain into data, betrayal into fuel, rejection into precision training. The victim mindset has been eradicated. Emotions no longer dictate the strategy. Every pattern of power has been studied until it became instinct. Every decision is taken with surgical clarity, free from guilt, free from misplaced loyalty, free from the narcotic comfort that sedates ambition. And now, you have built something most will never comprehend, an identity that unsettles. Mediocrity without uttering a word. You do not seek validation, you do not explain, you do not hesitate. You move with clean intent, like a blade in the dark, cold, silent, and inevitable. Those who attempt to predict you fail, because you have evolved beyond emotion. You are untouchable, unreadable. You have become the definitive form of intelligence, weaponized, strategic, and stripped of sentimentality. This is the world of the cold genius. No chaos, no noise, only results. And if you have stayed through every truth spoken here, it is because something in you recognizes the necessity of this transformation. Many have already turned away, unable to face the demands of this path. But you have not. You reached this point not out of idle curiosity, but because something in these words has struck the steel of your own will. The journey of the cold genius is not a public parade. It is the solitary march of a survivor who has refused to die by the soft poisons of sentiment, approval, and compromise. If you are still here, the transformation has already begun. A quiet revolution is rewriting the source code of your mind. Old reflexes are being dismantled. The part of you that once flinched is being replaced by a part that calculates. The part that once pleaded is being replaced by a part that commands. On this channel, we do not serve the comfort of easy lies. We destroy them. We replace them with a clarity that burns, but also liberates. That is why, if this message made you uncomfortable, it has done its job. But if it has shaken something inside you, if it has made you question who you are, then you are exactly where you need to be. If you are ready to embrace this new version of yourself, not for applause, but as an act of will, make it tangible. Leave in the comments the phrase, "I prefer the pain of clarity over the anesthesia of illusion." This is not for the algorithm, it is for you. A silent pact that you have chosen truth, no matter how cold it feels in your hands. From this point forward, every video, every word you absorb here will not be mere content. It will be a battle map for your mind. Each principle is a new maneuver in your war against mediocrity. And remember this, you are not what has happened to you. You are what you decide to become. The past is not a prison unless you choose to live inside it. The weak cling to their history because it excuses their stagnation. The cold genius burns his history to light the road ahead. He will abandon any belief, any attachment, any version of himself that cannot survive in the next chapter of his conquest. So understand, there will be losses. Some people will fall away. Some comforts will rot in your hands. You will bury old loyalties and discard illusions that once felt like home. And when the sentimental part of you cries out, when it summons the ghosts of promises and memories, you will ignore them. You will not negotiate with sentimentality, you will execute it. Because as Machiavelli warned, it is much safer to be feared than loved, if you cannot be both. Fear respects logic. Love begs for exceptions. You will choose clarity over kindness, results over regret, action over hesitation. You will do what must be done, even if it feels wrong, because sometimes the pain of now is the price of the power to come. You must be willing to hurt the feelings of those you care for if they stand in the way of what must be done. You must be willing to release what you love if it pulls you downward. You must be willing to sacrifice comfort for control, because sentiment clouds judgment, keeps you explaining yourself to those who will not listen, keeps you negotiating with those who have already chosen to betray you. Sentiment is the leash, and once that leash is cut, you become unpredictable, unreachable, unstoppable. No one can guess what you will do, not even your own emotions. That is the true power of distance, the ability to act with pure logic, not from anger, not from revenge, but from purpose. This is the discipline of cold genius. You do what must be done, even if it disturbs others, even if it disturbs yourself, because you no longer answer to your feelings, you answer to your future. And in mastering emotional distance from others and from yourself, you rise above the reach of manipulation. You silence your need for approval. You sharpen your mind until hesitation dies in your hands. And when they try to read you, they fail. You have become the shadow they cannot grasp, the storm they cannot predict, the quiet force that dismantles them before they know they are in danger. In this world, the world of the cold genius, chaos is replaced with clarity, noise with precision, and weakness with results. And from this day forward, you do not move like the rest of them. You move like the blade in the dark.